a strong 70s single female lead with lovely 70s hair, even though it's 1980. Living in this scenic town where I just want to have lots of unprotected sex with random men. What could possibly go wrong? Is that a man? No, look, I'm massive. I'm a fish person. I'm gonna have your bottom. No! 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 And that is, in essence, the most charming you're gonna get out of this episode of My Mum Said I Could Watch It on Humanoids of the Deep from 1980. I knew it as the film Monsters. I got this myself. God knows how. I think it's Doug McClure that got away with it, really. This wasn't some sort of shenanigan plan. I was little. I was probably about 8 when I saw this. I don't remember it being as graphic as this. But then again, I think I would have probably started flicking through the Beano and picking my nose. It's, for those of you who don't know it, it's quite a simple premise. A small town of probably, let's face it, let's say genetically close-knit cousins getting ready for some sort of festival because it's going to be a new canning town, so they're not all going to be unemployed and eating dirt. Now, this new cannery means there's a bit more money, so obviously all the kids are just going to go off and forget, the general boundaries of not cousining. And while they're off doing that, the genetic boundaries are being broken already out in the caves by these rampant fishmen who apparently have been grown from eating tadpoles that were genetic salmon, right? And I'm just like, I don't need. Obviously, no science is ever going to explain what's going on. Doug McClure is in this as basically, I suppose, the male equivalent of a sexy lamp. There's absolutely nothing he does in this that has any virtue, solace, or anything. Even Tim Atkins in The Fog, for example, saves a child. Doug McClure watches racists beat up a Native American and sort of stands there and goes, that's a bit bad, isn't it? There's nothing he does in this film. It's 80 minutes and it's still too long. It's a very awkward film to watch simply because there was another story in there. There is an initial premise of Johnny Eagle representing the Native American community, but being the only Native American you see in the entire movie, wanting to save rural areas from this cannery. So you've got this story that could have been about industrialization versus cultural heritage. There's even an implication at the beginning when all the dogs die, rather graphically, and you know what? That's a big no-no. I was giving it points, actually, for killing a dog. I really was. John Wick wouldn't know what to do with himself in this city. It's not that a dog dies, but you see what's left of it, and you see what's left of a bunch of other dogs as well. That's within your first 10 minutes. So that gave me some pause and going, you know what? This could be gangbusters. It isn't. It isn't by any means. As I say, that story I thought could have been an Innsmouth heritage curse, something that's coming up from a Lovecraftian time. No. There's a sexy scientist who goes, oh, it's because we made tadpoles, about 40 minutes into the film. The creatures themselves have no real rhyme and reason. The attacks, as well as let's be honest, the assaults on women. I'm being coy because of YouTube, frankly. It's not the film suffers from trying to take this premise way too earnestly, and it doesn't come across as horrific. It just comes across as grim, unrewarding, and charmless. Now, if you take out certain elements, I'm a big fan. I am very much, when it comes to 80s films, Team Pants. I'm Team Pants all the way. Of course, you're in a spaceship with an alien. Of course, you take your clothes off to get into the spaceship suit. Obviously, you do. Strong female lead, like yourself. There's a hockey mask killer. running around the place. So of course you leave. Right? You leave the benches. You go around and look in your pants. This is all absolutely perfectly logical stuff to happen. You're banned from the comments. If there's some sort of charm and hookiness and laughs to it, even if it is something as try as a yakkity sax. And when I say these things, I am talking about my only personal interest. I would never expect anyone to not be offended by these things. I would accept that, and I would also accept that they don't want to watch it. This is just grim. This is just unremitting and grim. It does score points. It does score points. I will say that the monsters themselves, particularly when they're in their absolute glory, the last 20 minutes of the film is great. It is elements of gangbusters, the fact that they've gone for a carnival, so they know what they should have been making. I keep thinking of, I haven't seen the original Piranha, but I did see the Kelly Brook Piranha film, 3D, right? It knew it was played for laughs, yet it managed to bring the chills with that connects. This is just flat. And Doug McClure does nothing. I honestly think that this was his last check. I haven't looked. The pop-out monster at the end from one of the girls who's been impregnated is how did there's not even a few months later. There's no credulity with the science. There's nothing being stretched. It's just hodgepodge. I would say that the creature designs are amazing. The fact that they've got a tail in there was great. I think the politics in it is absolutely woeful. Even by any, there is no cheesy, ironic, burlesque titillation here. It is just unremitting violence. Having said that, the violent effects, particularly like people's heads being broken off and splashed, yes, actually well done. There's a level there where I've got to give credit to that dead dog. However, that's really in the last 20 minutes. I mean, it gives you more bang for your buck than Chud when it comes to monsters on the screen. But really, it's 80 minutes and it's still a wet fish. And it just made me want that time back. So, this is actually going to be one of the shortest recordings I've done. Really, in tribute to the fact that if you do watch it, if you think it's going to be fun, let me tell you, in the words of Admiral Abba, it's a trap! Fundamentally, if you come across it, watch the last 20 minutes, maybe watch the first 10. The bits where the creatures are really in there for. Don't watch them in the middle of it where they're just attacking them, because it is just grim. And you do that, then you'll go, okay, that was 20 minutes spent. Really, avoid it. Actually, you know what? Avoid it. I'm desperately trying to come up with a reason to say that 80 minutes had some redeeming to it. The creatures, yeah, you just watch the trailer, Google the images. Doug McClure, shame on you. Absolute shame on you. Carolyn Monroe, I'm sure, was disgusted with you. And with that note, I will bid you all adieu.